You know, every single organization, from the smallest startup to the biggest global corporation, has to answer one huge question. Who gets to call the shots? Do you keep all the power at the top, or do you spread it out? This is a really big deal, so let's get into what each of those choices really means. This is it. This is the fundamental question. And how you answer it is going to shape everything: your company culture, how fast you can move, and whether you ultimately succeed or fail. So, do you hold the reins tight or do you let go?
See, this isn't just about drawing up an org chart. It's really a choice of philosophy. You're picking between two completely different ways of getting things done. One way is all about unity and having tight control. The other, it's all about being nimble and empowering your people.
And that brings us to our two big ideas for today. On one side, you've got centralization. Think of that classic top-down pyramid structure. And on the other, there's decentralization, where the power flows outward and down. So let's start by digging into that top-down model. Okay, first up, the centralized model. The thinking here is pretty simple, but it's also really powerful. It's all about maintaining control and making sure every single part of the organization is marching to the exact same beat. So what does it actually mean? Well, centralization is when all the big decisions, and let's be honest, a lot of the small ones too, are made by just a handful of people at the very top. Kind of like a general commanding an army, right? The orders come from one place and they flow downwards. And, there's a good reason for this. The benefits are super clear. You get rock-solid consistency, so a customer in New York has the exact same experience as a customer in LA. It allows for incredibly precise coordination, and there's never any question about who's in charge. But, and this is a big but, that tight control can also slow things down, creating bottlenecks and maybe even frustrating the people you need to be creative. And this isn't just some theory either. This kind of structure is absolutely essential in industries where you just can't afford mistakes and where everything has to be uniform. Think about building cars. Every single part has to be exactly the same. Or the military, where perfectly coordinated action can be a matter of life and death. Centralization gives you that critical control.
All right, now let's completely flip that pyramid upside down. It's time to talk about the other side of the coin, the decentralized model. This approach is built for a world that's fast, messy, and totally unpredictable.
So, in a decentralized system, power isn't a treasure that's locked away at the top. Instead, you're actively pushing it down and out to the people who are actually on the front lines, the local managers, the team leaders, the folks who are talking to customers every single day. The upside here can be massive. When local teams are empowered to make their own decisions, they can react to problems in real time. It's a huge catalyst for innovation, because great ideas can just bubble up from anywhere in the company. But it's also a bit of a double-edged sword. If you don't have a strong shared vision, all that freedom could lead to confusion or a messy brand experience. And this is where decentralization really, really shines. I mean, think about a big multinational company. A marketing strategy that crushes it in Tokyo could be a total disaster in Texas. Decentralization gives those local teams the power to tweak their approach to fit the local culture, which is just essential for success on a global scale.
So, we've got these two really powerful models that seem to be complete opposites. One gives you control, the other gives you flexibility. But what if you didn't have to choose? What if you could have the best of both worlds?
This is the exact question that so many of the world's most successful companies have asked. Why look at this as an either-or situation? What if you could actually combine the strengths of both and build something even better?
And the answer is the hybrid model. Some people call it semi-decentralized, but really it's a strategic balancing act. The whole idea is to keep a strong, unified core, but allow for creativity and freedom right where you need it most.
And honestly, McDonald's is the perfect example of this in action. The core of their brand, the Golden Arches, the Big Mac, their major policies, that stuff is locked down and centrally controlled. It's non-negotiable. But then, look at the local freedom they allow. Individual franchisees can add items to the menu that cater to local tastes. They can run their own regional promotions and manage their day-to-day operations. This is exactly how you end up with a McSpicy Paneer Burger in India or a Teriyaki McBurger in Japan, all living happily under the same iconic global brand. It's absolutely brilliant. So as we start to bring this all together, it really comes down to this one fundamental trade-off, a balancing act that every single leader has to figure out. So at the end of the day, here's the deal. Centralization is your go-to for consistency and control. Decentralization is your engine for flexibility and adaptation. One makes sure everyone is reading from the same page, the other lets different teams write their own chapters. And the truth is, there's no single right answer here. There's no magic formula. The best structure is simply the one that fits what you're trying to do. Are you building jet engines, or are you running a scrappy creative agency? The perfect structure for one would be an absolute train wreck for the other. And it's not a one-and-done decision either. The right choice will change as your company grows and the world changes around you. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about. In a world that's changing faster than ever, what's the future going to look like? Will it be dominated by the disciplined control of centralized giants, the chaotic, creative energy of decentralized networks, or the clever balancing act of the hybrids? The answer to that is going to define the next era of business.